Welcome to Stimulate Conversations, a sexual wellness business discussions podcast that supports the vast range of professionals supporting consumers from a business perspective within the sexual wellness space. My name is Nicole Lameck, your host, and the founder of Stimulate, a B2B sexual wellness trade show held annually in Nashville, as well as many other Stimulate experiences throughout the year. I'm also author of the book Retail 101 from McGraw-Hill and professor of retail marketing at Columbia, Chicago. From head to toe, young to mature, purpose to pleasure, Stimulate Conversations is committed to supporting sexual wellness professionals. Together with industry leaders as our guests, we look forward to delivering trusted and important conversations to help support retail, wholesale, spa, salon, and medical professionals who collectively want to help elevate and support their consumers within the sexual wellness community from an educated and professional perspective. Listeners of Stimulate Conversations can look forward to gaining expert-led insight from industry leaders, ranging from doctors to retail operational experts to industry visionaries and more. Without further ado, let's dive into Stimulate Conversations. Welcome to another edition of Stimulate, where I am excited to welcome not one, but two urologists who I could not be more excited to both interview and introduce our listeners to. Dr. Ryan Stexner and Dr. Joshua Gonzalez are also founders of Popstar Labs, a semen health brand that supports a variety of semen wellness issues, which I will let them share more details about with you. But first, I wanted to take some time for each of them to say hello and share a bit more about their professional past. Welcome, doctors.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, excited to be here.
So let's see. I'm just going to go alphabetical order. Brian, why don't you kick it off and introduce your background, tell a bit about who you are.
Yeah, I'm Brian Steixner. I'm a board-certified urologist and specialist in sexual medicine. I've been a urologist for 15 years now and treated thousands of patients with sexual wellness issues. I'm also co-founder of Popstar Labs, which is a total sexual wellness brand with a focus on semen health and providing sexual education and confidence in the bedroom.
Love that. Joshua, you're up.
All right. I'm Dr. Joshua Gonzalez. I am just living in Brian's shadow, and I have been since I started practice. Brian and I built this company first as friends, and Brian has always been a mentor of mine. And so it's been really exciting to build Popstar from a crazy idea and see it through to become this, comprehensive male sexual wellness brand. We're really proud of it. And it's just, fun to be able to work with a friend on a topic that we care so much about. I'm also a urologist who focuses on sexual health. I'm based in Los Angeles.
I love that when I first was introduced to your brand, I think it was a line that I read something like, 2 guys walk into a bar is not the story it's going to speak. Because it really isn't. You guys have built such a great brand, and the story behind respectfully is so fantastic as well. So I'm excited to dive into this a bit more. And admittedly, coming from my shoes, so to speak, I don't know anything about men's semen health. And I don't, certainly I have my own perspective as a woman, but it's fair to say we don't know what we don't know. So I want to know more. So can you guys paint the picture for us, so to speak, on how and why Popstar Labs came to life?
Yeah, I'll get started. Josh and I look at sexual health like your gastroenterologist looks at colon health or your cardiologist looks at heart health. And we think we're standing on the forefront of sexual wellness finally becoming common knowledge, common language within people's medical care. And Josh and I have been doing that for a decade now, but the mainstream population is finally catching up. And so we are excited to bring conversation surrounding sexual health, and bring an understanding of the disease processes that happen. And within that is semen health. And semen health is no different than your microbiome or your heart health. And what we're trying to do is provide that education so people understand that the volume that comes out the health of your sperm, the taste of your sperm, all these different components, they can be altered, changed, and they can be improved. And that was the origins of us coming up with Popstar Labs.
I love.
Yeah, I think the cool part about this company that we built is it was really born out of a medical issue that we were both kind of individually seeing. Brian and I serve very different patient populations. I'm based in LA, have a large, younger gay male clientele, and was seeing a lot of guys just complaining of low volume ejaculate and how it was affecting their confidence in the bedroom, how it was
Right.
affecting their pleasure. And that was really where the idea started. And then Brian, was seeing older men, maybe they're on their second marriage, maybe they're not so concerned about fertility at this stage in their life, but they're having this sexual kind of reawakening and want to do everything they can to enhance their sexual experience. And so, we put our brains together and came up with this supplement to address, all aspects of ejaculatory health. And it's just, yeah, I mean, it's been a really great experience to kind of build that together.
I can only imagine it's been like a lot of fun working because it sounds like you guys are buddies as well as colleagues and peers, professional peers. And you kind of sensibly, Brian, he's maybe unintentionally said it, but you said sexual wealth. And he said, wait, so
Yeah.
and I caught that. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, you know what? That actually really summarizes what this really represents, in my opinion, because if you have that sexual health, it is sexual wealth to you, right? It's your partner.
That's right.
So let's paint this picture with a little bit brighter colors, if you will, which, by the way, you guys do have great colors in your branding. I love the pile yellow and the great rating that you guys have built within your brand. So I encourage anybody to check out their website, which is Popstar. You guys tell us.
Popstarlabs.com.
Perfect. So yeah, I mean, I am just, generally a huge fan of anything that is connecting to consumer appeal as well as, in your guys' shoes, patient appeal. So I love what you guys have done. And I want to, again, paint this picture brighter for our listeners here. So when you talk about sexual health and sexual wealth, whether it's volume, taste, experience, how are you finding your consumers and patients reacting to the actual product of Popstar?
I mean, I can tell you from my experience, both from friends of mine that have taken the supplement, and from patients of mine who, talk to me about these issues, and then I encourage them to, purchase the supplement online. Um, the response has been incredible, both from people being really impressed with how we're approaching this from a marketing and branding standpoint, really trying to destigmatize this problem, really trying to approach it from an aspect of pleasure, because I think what Brian and I ran into when we first started looking into how we could change ejaculatory health was all the data that's out there in the medical literature all is focused on fertility, which obviously is a very important topic. But many of the people that I was seeing, at least in my practice, didn't really care about fertility. They wanted to have bigger loads because it was more pleasurable and because their orgasms were more intense. And so I think we've done a great job putting together our team to really highlight that in the way we present ourselves online. And people are very receptive to it because we have the legitimacy of being two physicians that focus on sexual health while also being able to create and present a product that is easily accessible, that is, disarming, and that is fun, and makes this product that you want to have to make yourself have greater sex.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, Josh says that he takes care of a younger gay population. I take care of people of all different ages. We've been shocked at all the different demographics that have come out and supported Popstar Labs, from young men to older men, from straight and gay people, from people who are married and single, but also women, college age people who are concerned about their health. And the one thing that was critically important to us was not only to provide the product to serve the need, but also to provide the education and to do it in a way that was supportive of all the communities that we were actually speaking to. And so knowing that we have cool branding, knowing that we're providing education, and knowing that we're behind the scenes providing support to these communities any way we can in appropriate fashion has been a core of what the business really meant to us.
So let's look at that in more detail. When you talk about education, what does that mean? I mean, you guys have already shared some great insight here about semen health and wellness in general, but let's look at the depth of that education. What is it that consumers or patients might not know that they should know about semen well-being?
You want to take it, Brian? You want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we know is that from a simple standpoint, semen volume impacts confidence in the bedroom, right? And I think at the core of what we do, confidence and pleasure is really, really important. And so semen volume was the first thing we addressed and how we could do that. And then fertility, which is in this country, 1 in 9 couples suffer for fertility. And that can be anxiety inducing and stressful and can impact sexual health and how couples engage in sexual activity. So making it fun was important. And then lastly, taste. And so figuring out the science behind taste was critical for us. But then on top of that, it was how else we could provide the knowledge and the education behind that. So people need to understand what they put in their body, where it's from, what it does, who's behind it. And those things are absolutely critical. But then we developed a blog that we thought was absolutely important so that we could provide education. And anytime we see subjects that come up in the media, in pop culture, we want to provide the real medical information behind that. And so Josh is absolutely critical at providing absolutely innumerable articles for our website and just kind of taking sexual wellness and the stigma behind it and the discretion that usually is surrounding it and sort of taking that and stripping that away so that people get the information that they need without a bias to it.
Yeah, I think we've used the platform of Popstar of our initial supplement to introduce ourselves, make people feel like they know us also, and lend some credibility to our expertise. And so we don't just teach people about ejaculatory health, right? We use that as a launching pad to teach people about problems with desire, issues with hormones, erectile dysfunction, like all kinds of things that Brian and I see every day in our practice that people who are coming to our website might be coming there for the product, but they're also coming there to learn more about sex. And so we want to provide them a platform where they can get that education from a reliable source from 2 physicians who do this every day in their practice.
Yeah, I love that you guys are practicing physicians. This is truly something that is entrenched in you, right? It is something that you have literally studied and currently practiced. And I also love that you said the word initial supplement because it gives me the excitement and enthusiasm to think there could be more brewing in Popstar Labs.
Yeah, I mean, I think what Josh and I recognize is that as much as we provide the education, we need to provide the solution. As practicing physicians, I think the one thing that we're realizing is how healthcare is delivered in this country is changing rapidly. To some degree, it's fossilized, right? It's one of the few businesses within this world that kind of is stuck in the 1960s and 1970s, right? You can get anything you want online, but medical care, you have to get in your car and drive to your doctor and wait 3 hours because he's behind and make an appointment. It just doesn't make sense anymore. And I think what we think the future of medicine is and sexual wellness is going to be access, right? Mm-hmm. People are going to get the information they need online or from the media sources they consume. They're going to look for quality, look for credibility, and they're going to want to know that they can get the solutions that they need. And what we're trying to do is come up with all of the best solutions and be a point of expertise for people so that anything within the sexual wellness world, they know they can come to us for the answers they need, the information they need, but also the opportunity to buy the solution. And look, Josh and I are both very, entrenched in practicing medicine. And so we approach Popstar Labs, the company, the same way. The products we put out are stuff that we would give to our patients, right? The ingredients are the best source. They're non-GMO, they're fair trade, they're made in FDA approved facilities. And so we would take these supplements. In fact, we do take these supplements. And so we feel confident standing behind them with both our brand and for our customers.
Yeah, I think that's so important. Yeah. And I know a lot of our listeners are connecting with consumers who may not know about Popstar Labs yet, or they may not even know that there's something that exists that can help fill those, various touch points of whether it's they're looking for more volume or more flavor from their semen, whatever it may be. And so, where can they find Popstar Labs? I definitely want to make sure we share that.
Yeah, we specialize on e-commerce. And so our site, popstarlabs.com, is our primary source of where we can buy this. We're starting to sell in brick and mortar shops, which is incredibly important to us because we want people to be able to access our brand wherever they consume sexual wellness brands. And we're also available on Amazon. And so, the one thing that we run into, and we hear this across all founders and all people who are in this industry, is credibility, right? And so how do we differentiate what we're doing at a very high level from what other people have done for decades that maybe isn't the best product or the best branding? And so we're selling on Amazon now. And we think selling on Amazon improves credibility because we have to, improve or focus on the reviews. We have to make sure that the customer service is good. And so those are the main points that we're selling right now is on our website.
And I know you guys will be joining us at Stimulate, which is our B2B trade show in Nashville, which is super exciting. So that's going to be a great way for retailers because, a lot of our listeners are retailers. So they are connecting directly to consumers. One of the reasons we love these conversations on here at Stimulate Conversations is because consumers are directly asking them for resources. And that's so important for them to know where. So I definitely have a feeling they'll be excited to learn about Popstar Labs. And with that, I'm kind of curious, what advice would you give somebody working within that consumer environment versus where you guys stand from a medical environment? If someone was asking, how can you sort of help pull out that dialogue from a customer? Because in a medical office is maybe a little bit more cozy than the middle of a brick and mortar store asking about volume of their ejaculation. So is there any advice you have just for the conversation around semen health, well-being, sexual wellness in general?
Yeah, this exact conversation has come up frequently in the past few weeks. What we're finding is that businesses are looking for opportunities for growth in the sexual wellness space, right? And if you walk into a brick and mortar shop and you walk around, there's a lot of similar products in there. And as these shops look for opportunities to expand, we believe that total sexual wellness as a clinical approach is a huge opportunity. And so the one thing that we speak to very frequently is that, it's important for lubes and dildos and very common things that are found throughout these shops. But a huge opportunity for these shops is to start to look at the clinical side of it and provide those solutions. And so an elevated brand or a solution-driven brand for medical need is a massive opportunity for growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. And I know just having had the pleasure of speaking with you in the past, Brian, one of the things that did come up was the state of mental confidence. So supporting your consumers or patients wherever, again, you stand, because we do have med spas and other medical professionals who we engage with. So from a mental perspective, I feel like Popstar Labs really fulfills a lot, even in that confidence. Can you kind of talk us through that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, oh, sorry. You want to go, Brian?
No, Josh, I think you're perfect to talk about this. This is something you talk about all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things I don't know that I expected this when we first launched this product, but I was really focused on pleasure and giving people the opportunity to have better sex, more fulfilling sex, right? And I never really thought about the confidence issue, but I've seen it a lot in my patients, and we've heard it from our customers. Some of whom try the product out when they don't necessarily think they have a problem. And then they see an improvement in this one parameter, right? They notice that their loads are bigger, or that their partner comments on their semen tasting better, or their orgasms are more intense. And suddenly they're like, wait a minute, I didn't even realize over the last, several years, we've been married for X number of years, X number of decades, like that I had really kind of lost my mojo, lost my confidence in the bedroom. And this now gives these men a new outlook on how they can be, sexually restored, essentially, when they may have not initially recognized that there was a problem. This now has given them the confidence to just engage more, initiate more, try new things in the bedroom. And so it's been a really exciting I think, aspect of having launched this product. Cause I personally was not expecting that. My goal was to just help people have, more pleasurable sex. So it's been a really nice thing that we've noticed.
Yeah, we always say at Stimulate that sexual wellness to us is head to toe, young to mature, purpose to pleasure. So, I really do think that a brand like yours is head to toe because it's fulfilling the entire component of both pleasure and that mental confidence and, of course, purpose as well along the way. So I adore it. And I'm really curious too, what you guys think as you look ahead into our general society and consumer connectivity within that sexual wellness category, because we've seen such a great growth over the last few years. And that includes brands like yours emerging and having these conversations. But when you look ahead, where do you see sexual wellness turning, or what do you see sexual wellness turning into from a society and a consumer perspective, I should say?
Yeah, it's in medicine, we always take decades and give them a title, right? The decade of the heart, the decade of the brain, because there's landmark discoveries or there's a critical focus on it within medicine. I think we are right at the forefront of the decade of sex. And I think it's absolutely critical that we say sex is as important for your total health and well-being as any other process of your body, right? We hear all about the microbiome of your GI tract or your heart and your cholesterol. And we talk about all the details of those things, but no one's talking about sex. But if you look at the research, there's a lot of people Googling it at 2 a.m, right? So we know the demand is there. The question is, how do we take discretion and make it cool, right? How do we take things that people are scared to talk about and make them confidence building? And that's the basis of Popstar Labs, right? And we started with Semen Health, but we're expanding into all different avenues. We want to make sure that anyone who's out there feels supported and confident in getting the information they need so they can make the best decision for their body. Whatever it is, we're behind whatever decision you make, but we want to make sure you get the right information. And so, literally, we think this is the beginnings of something amazing. We think sexual wellness and sexual health is the future. And we think this is just the start. We think it's going to be mainstream. We think Popstar Labs is going to be in, all stores, talked about on the nightly news. We think you should be able to see a Super Bowl commercial for Popstar Labs. It was a huge deal when Viagra had a Super Bowl commercial, right? And that was in early 2000s, maybe late 90s. And why? Doesn't have to be. It's not like erectile dysfunction is something taboo, right? It's a medical condition. We think the same thing about all sexual wellness issues. And so we think this is just the beginning of something amazing.
Yeah. And I think also, Brian and I are excited to be at the forefront of that and also be one of the few brands that is really driven by and created by and formulated by 2 doctors, right? There are going to be probably millions of brands that come out because of the potential business side of sexual wellness, right? But we feel very confident that with our 2 educational backgrounds and our passion for this field, that is something that sets us apart, that we're able to connect to our customer in a way that another sexual wellness brand is not going to have that same connection, that same sort of medical legitimacy.
Completely.
It also gives us the ability to understand what's coming. Because what often happens to Josh and I is we see the issues start to pop up in our office before anyone's talking about it, right? And so if there's issues within the sexual wellness world that have not been addressed, people are coming to us for solutions now. And they do it because there's no other place to go. Our job is to give those people, those patients who are coming to us, give them answers so they don't have to feel uncomfortable in their physician's office in Topeka, Kansas, or somewhere in Michigan. We want them to be able to jump online, get at the information, and get the solutions when they need it.
Yeah, what else I really love is that as a retail geek, that's how I describe myself at least. I've been in the business of retail more or less forever. And with that, I love how there's this overlap of medical and commerce taking place so that a patient might be able to go to a doctor who then can confidently recommend Popstar Labs, right? And at that same moment, potentially even purchase it within that space. Like we are seeing our
Mhm.
side more and more med spas and medical offices. And I know those are wildly different, but medical offices, traditional spas, med spas, and of course, traditional brick and mortar beginning to all sell items that are more or less the same in all four of those different destinations because you want to be where your consumer is. And if your consumer's in your patient office, having that, when you leave the building that day is a lot more convenient than having to wonder, where do I buy it? So of course, e-com is always great too, which I know you guys are on. But I just love that from my perspective. And I can see where events would be a natural fit for so many of those destinations that consumers connect with, because, at the end of the day, it is about that consumer connectivity, making sure your brand is brought to their attention and then allowing the connectivity and transaction to happen. So very excited for what you guys have going on. So I'm glad you guys were able to share that today. So I know you mentioned your URL earlier, but where else can anybody who wants to be in touch, how can they get in touch?
Yeah, if there's any questions, you can always email us at support@popstarlabs.com. We're on every social media platform. And so at Popstar Labs is all of our handles for all social media. Email for any direct questions about wholesale or any other issues or buying Popstar, our website. And then you can inbox us on any one of our social platforms. And, we respond right away. I mean, Josh and I both have OCD. And so that's probably why we're practicing surgeons. And so we love to provide the information right away. And the other thing is, when we team up with stores and shops, we're looking for opportunities to support and grow in mutually beneficial relationships. And so when we team up with influencers or stores or anyone else we're working with, med spas, physician practices, we like to promote them as well. We like to understand what their goals are. And so we can do it in a collaborative way, in an educational way, so that everyone benefits.
I love that education fuels so much of what you guys are doing. And going back to even how you brought Popstar to life, knowing that you do have that great resource of data and actual facts that are being, I imagine, just always being shared with you. So, a lot of our listeners might never have the chance to sit down with a urologist, even though you've just given them the opportunity to get in touch. If anybody could ask you like a question, if they had one quick question to ask a urologist about their own sexual health, maybe from a semen health perspective, maybe not. What's a question that you think they could present to someone if they had just that one chance opportunity? And this is going to lead me to something that I'm excited about too, by the way. If you could say, what would be a good question for someone to ask, what would it be? Help them better understand their.
I think the most critical thing that I speak to patients about is that they need to advocate for themselves and be confident in who they are, right? Yeah. That's the root of what we stand for. And so it doesn't matter what's going on, that you deserve to get your questions answered and you deserve to get the solutions that are right for your body. And so Popstar Labs prides itself in providing solutions that oftentimes were not talked about, or something that people felt uncomfortable talking to their doctor about. And so the one thing I will say to anyone in my office is that any situation that you have that brings you in here is valid and important, and you deserve to understand the whys and how we can help you.
Yeah, I would say that, I mean, it's pretty similar along those lines. I always use the phrase "have better sex" in my social media posts. It's written up on my homepage of my website, my practice website. And I always encourage patients to have that conversation. If you're not fulfilled in your sex life and you have somehow resigned yourself to believing that there's no other possibility and that this is just the way that things are going to be from here on out, say something to your provider. And if they don't offer you a solution, then maybe they're not the right person to be having that conversation with, and find somebody who is. But a lot of people, I think, assume because they've reached a certain age, because they're in a monogamous relationship, because they have kids, because they have a stressful job, that sex just has to take a backseat and shouldn't be a priority. But some of those people want it to be a priority. And if that is you, then find somebody that can help you do that.
Great advice. I love that. And that leads me to sharing that we will have, I know Dr. Brian and I believe Dr. Joshua, but I'm not sure yet, be at Nashville in our Doctors experience, which is part of our Stimulate show experience. So you guys will be there in the flesh for them to bring your questions. So we have a lot of great listeners who are actively working within the sexual wellness space, whether they're retail buyers, store operators, med spa practitioners, whoever they may be, wherever they may sit within this environment. So I'm excited that you guys are continuing to share your wisdom with us at Stimulate. And I want to take that one step further now and do what we call our rapid fire questions. So they're quick questions, quick answers, and we can kick it off. Maybe Brian, you go first, Josh, and then I'll ask again, Brian, Josh. And that's the first time we've ever had 2 guests on one show. So felt like I had to explain it. So all right, we'll kick it off. All right. The first question is, what does sexual wellness mean to you?
Sexual wellness is unique, right? And so for me, sexual wellness is being confident in the bedroom, right? And for whatever is preventing you from being confident in the bedroom, we have to fix. And so whether or not that's premature ejaculation, whether or not that's preferences for how you want to have sex, erectile dysfunction, semen health issues, drive and hormone issues, there has to be a solution that can make sex better. And so sexual wellness is critically important for total wellness.
I would say sexual wellness, I'm going to keep it short, is having the best sex possible for you and your partner.
Great answers. And how do you define good customer care?
I mean, I define customer care as providing the solutions that people need to make the best decision for themselves.
Yeah, I would say good customer care is responding to and addressing any concerns that are brought up by the people that are buying your product. Addressing.
And what keeps you personally inspired?
You know, I think we make a difference. I think for years, Josh and I practiced medicine every day, nights on call. And I think seeing our ability to take the one-offs that we address in the office and bring them to anyone out there who needs these has been incredibly gratifying.
I think for me, it's actually been the people that work on our team, like working closely with Brian, working with Jordan, our president, working with the people that we have helping us with marketing. We've built a little bit of a family, and it's been a really great, motivating experience to want to do better, to want to take this company to the next step because it's fun and we just enjoy like working together. So.
I love that. So on that note, what keeps you professionally inspired?
For me, it's the constant change in the medical landscape, right? Medicine is a moving target. It's a full contact sport. You have to stay on your toes. And not only does medicine change, but our communities change and our communities' needs change. And so every day it's different, but every day I leave my work knowing that I made a difference in someone's life. And that's a pretty powerful thing to say. And it never changes every day.
I think for me, my professional inspiration comes from wanting to be a thought leader in sexual health and wellness. I've made that a goal of mine from the first time I started practicing. Everything I do on social media is with that intent. And then also to be a medical professional who can help address sexual health issues that are unique to people that are in my community, the LGBTQ community. I just feel like there is a large disservice and not enough providers who feel comfortable having conversations about sex with queer people. And so that's always kind of driven me as well.
You guys have a lot of good insight. I love this. So if you could offer a piece of advice of professional leadership, what is your best advice for professional business leaders?
I mean, my best advice is surround yourself with people smarter than you. And right. And having a business partner and a friend in Josh, our president, Jordan, our chief of marketing, Christine, These are people who are absolutely brilliant. And when you have people around you that are smarter than you and more dedicated than you and want to succeed, sky's the limit.
I think my advice would be, and Brian sort of took mine, that's what I was going to say. But in addition to that, don't dismiss what might seem like a crazy idea for a product that makes people come more and have tastier loads, because that's how this company really started out. And it was like a crazy harebrained idea. And Brian and I decided to see where that led. And I think it's led to some pretty amazing places. And I think it's only the beginning of the amazing places that it's going to lead to. And so don't just dismiss a crazy thought that you have about something that you think could really help some people, because if you put your heart and soul into it, you can really build something from it.
And by doing what you guys have done, you have taken a huge load off a lot of people's shoulders. Fun intended, right? So
Love
awesome to talk with you guys today. And I couldn't be more thrilled that Popstar Labs will be joining us in Nashville, Tennessee, August 5th and 6th at Stimulate, which is our annual trade show and conference. So we're looking forward to welcoming you and Popstar there then. And thank you so much for being part of Stimulate Conversations. Those tuning in, make sure you tune in as well to popstarlabs.com. And thank you, gentlemen, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Stimulate Conversations offers year-round ways to stay in touch between our podcasts, including a private Facebook community for ongoing and more in-depth discussions, which you can find via Facebook at the group name Stimulate, Sexual Wellness Business Discussions. You can also stay connected via Instagram at the handle Stimulate the Show. And you're welcome to email us at stimulate@retailminded.com. I'm Nicole Leinbach, founder of Stimulate and your host. And together with the entire Stimulate team, we look forward to continued discussions that will, you guessed it, keep you stimulated on the business of sexual wellness. Till next time, stay stimulated.